Hello everyone, welcome to When Saturdays Come with me, Dry Boy. I hope I find you all well and we're recovering slowly from our defeat against Charlton on Saturday, which is a bit of a worry, isn't it? I wanted to do a little bit of a debrief actually on it and just put some stats out there and see what you think, because it is alarming what is actually going off. And stats don't lie. Definitely don't. We bottom for a reason. There is no doubt about that. And we've got to find a way, haven't we? Somehow we've just got to find a way to get a point on board, or 3 points, a win starting at Oxford on Saturday if we can. But the stats are not lying and we're in big trouble really. It's now 9.5 hours since we scored a goal. Unreal. 3 shots on target in 3 matches. 13 shots in 6 games. Wow, that is not acceptable at any level of football. Never mind where we are at the minute, and there's got to be a reason behind that. Wilder's obviously not happy about that. He's realising it's going to be a bigger job than he thought. We all already know that. His comments have been saying that we are chaotic, anxious, and we've got a fragility to the side. Well, we have, definitely, and we certainly have in midfield to start with. They can talk the talk as much as they want in training. They can train Monday 7 days a week if they want before a game, but end of the day, you've got to do it on pitch, haven't you? You can talk the talk, you can train all week, they can get it all right, but the players have got to step up on a Saturday and turn in a good performance. When you're playing in front of big crowds in championships like you do, pressure's on. We've done it before. We can do it again. It's really just doesn't. I just can't get my head around how we've got into this position from where we were last season to where we are, which I'll come on to in a minute. But the point is, it's like, how can we have only 3 shots on goal? How is it that we haven't scored a goal in 9.5 hours? It's mental. What is it that's stopping us doing that? Whether it is, I get it's the creativity to try and score goals, but we're not creating anything anyway. I suppose that's the answer, I guess. But why aren't we creating it? That's the other question, isn't it? What is it what's causing this mental block, if you call it? What is it what's causing this lack of confidence? What is it? If players haven't got any, they've got to find some, and they've got to find it quick. They're in a privileged position. They get paid big bucks. They should be the footballers at the end of the day. And it's not, I've said before, it's not rocket science. It really isn't rocket science. I touched on AI before, about when they started wanting to do this, the board and all this. AI is great as a tool, but it don't help you when you bottom at league after 7 games or 6 games, whatever it is. It don't help you when the chips are down. It don't tell you about the character and what they like when we're in this position. It can be used on other things, but this is where it matters. This is it. You have to be going on that pitch now. Forget what AI says about you can run this and run that, and you can pass this and pass that, and shoot this, shoot that. This is where your character has to come through. This is where everything you dreamed of being a footballer, when you're stuck at bottom of the league, this is where you've got to be saying to yourself, right, we've got to get ourselves out of this. You've got to dress yourself down. You've got to give your head a wobble. You've got to fight and scrap for every single point that you... Neil Warnock used to say you've got to die to get 3 points. We die for a goal a minute, never mind 3 points, won't we? It's absolutely unreal what's happening. All these stats, I want to say something about Peck and Matos. We've got 2 young lads there, aged 20 and 21. Very inexperienced. we need some experienced players to come in, you know, to help them in midfield. If we forget our young Peck years, I've watched him through under 21s over the years, on and off, and I've seen him progress. And it's great. It's great when everything's going well and you're playing well and the team's playing well and you're playing with full of confidence and the team's winning matches. But this is where it makes you as a footballer when you're struggling. This is where it has to show your character and your determination to fight back and be able to look back on these bad moments when we do take corner. Of course we will eventually. And it'll do him in good stead. It'll certainly do Pecky in good stead. And it's saying with Matos, they're still learning the trade at this age, playing championship football. You know, every player finds his level. And if this is Peck's level or Matos's level, then they've got to step up and they've got to show they can handle it. They've got to show they can handle it in front of 30,000 fans where it chips are down and we all disgruntled and we're trying to, you know, drive them on to get a win. But experience is, well, I mean, we're crying out for somebody like Davies to come back into the team. I know Chris wants him back, he's not far off and all that. But the problem with Davies is keeping him fit. That's the biggest issue, is keeping him fit. He could come back for 2 games, he could be out for another 5, and we can't be carrying players like that anymore. Can we? And this is where we're at the minute. He'll have to bring Samari in as another example. He perhaps needs to give him a couple of games to see if he can settle in there, give Pecky a rest or whatever. And it could help. I mean, I'm not got a crystal ball, and I'm sure Chris hasn't, but we've got to change it round a little bit to try and get back on track. And they're finding it really tough, and they did find it tough on Saturday. You know, Charlton were up for a fight, and they gave as good as they got. And I think a draw would have been a fair result, but you find a way, and Charlton found a way, didn't they? And you can't take it away from them, you know. And that's what we've got to be doing. We've got to find a way. We've got to find a way. I mean, I'll touch on Blaster for a minute. I know we all want him back, and we do desperately need him back. But the main thing we've got to be aware of here, we Ollie, is that it'll be great if we get him back before Christmas, if we're lucky. But don't forget, he's still fighting to get his fitness back. And when he's got his fitness back, it could be a few games under 21s. And they're not championship games, are they? They just feel like a fitness games for him. And then he's going to be fed in gently, I would imagine, 20 minutes here and there to get him up to speed in championships. So it's going to be no quick fix, even when Blaster comes back. We don't want to be expecting too much from him as well. And there's a long way to go yet before when transfer window opens in January. So there's another 18 games to go. And this is where we are, rooted at bottom, with another 18 games before transfer window opens again. And we've got a lot to work on, you know. And Chris has got a lot to work on. But the stats are not lying, are they? They're just not. And we've got to find a way. Looking back, forgive me for looking at my notes here. The team what played at Wembley last season to where it is now. And out of that team who we had, I mean, Chowdhury's gone, Anel's gone, Robbo's gone, Brewster's gone, Sousa's gone, Moore's gone. So 6 players out of that team have already gone. We're left with Cooper, Burrows, Peck, Campbell and Hamer, who are left out of that team. Now, we can toss about, we got 92 points last season in Championship, but half of that team's gone. So we've got to replace them with players who we think can be better than them. So looking at it, what I found that Tanganga coming in for Anel, maybe. McGuinness coming in for Robbo. Me, perhaps cover for Robbo as well. Godfrey, I don't think is good as Chowdhury, who went out. I mean, Chowdhury, man of match for me at Wembley. So why didn't we go and buy him instead of playing big bucks out for Godfrey? You know? We could have bought him for probably next to nothing, Chowdhury. I mean, why not? He'd have been a good fit. I know Suter got injured as well, so they're arguing that see how he is in January as well. We've got Ogbean in for probably Brewster, who used to play out on right more often than not, Rian, didn't he? Then he played him a bit down middle. But Ogbean's a striker, so we replaced him with him. Ings have come in for more. That's more or less a like for like. But again, Ings has got to stay fit, so we've not seen him yet. So that's the other thing. But what we've got to do here is find a way. We've got to find a system. Do we revert back to 5? Do we go 4-4-2, 4-3-3, 5-3-2? I don't know how this system's going to work out. We can't be fitting square pegs in round holes anymore. We had enough with that, we Sayers. We've got to play people in the right positions. But the question is, to me, is why aren't we creating anything? Are we reliant too much on Gossamer? When opposition's done their own work on us, they'll nullify that. They'll try and nullify that. Cut balls out to Aimer. Ogbean's fighting for his fitness as well, so he could be a good asset. We've hardly got many people to come in up right hand side. Brooks has done, as far as I'm concerned. He shouldn't put a shirt on again for Blades. He's had enough chances, so he's dead wood to me, as he's Binden. They're not good enough for championship football. But all the stats are telling us that we're in big trouble at the minute, and Chris Wilder's got a massive job on his hands. So we're going to have to wait and see. I know players have got to step up. They really have got to step up. And I didn't realise how bad these stats were until I checked them out this morning. I'm thinking, wow, that's unbelievable. Cannon, the longer it goes on, how many more chances do you give Tom Cannon? It's an experiment with Tom which has failed. Why is it that he scored goals for fun for Stoke City? We bring him into us, and he's not scoring goals. Is he not getting the service? Is he playing out of position? Is he just not a championship player for us? There has to be a reason. There's a reason for everything why we're not firing. Whether Sayers has messed all their heads up, God knows. I don't know. I haven't got a clue what goes off in people on footballers' heads. But really, I think the Oxford games on Saturday, if we lose that, we're in big trouble. The gap is beginning to get wider and wider. And we all know what it's like when we bottom at league. We've had this before. I've seen it all before. It's one hell of a fight, a dog fight to get back out of it. I know 2 or 3 wins will change that. But we don't even look like scoring. We don't even look like creating anything. So we are in a bit of bother here, and I think the recruitment wasn't right. I must say some of the players wasn't right. I thought Tanganga was a good sign. McGuinness, fine. I think it strengthened midfield, back four undoubtedly, and with me coming in as well. I ain't got a problem with them. It's in front of them. What's the problem? It's the midfield and the forwards which are the problem. Louis Barry's come in. I'll just say a word on Louis Barry. Don't forget, Louis Barry's a young kid who scored goals for fun at Stockport. This ain't Stockport. This is proper championship football. He's got a bit of a pedigree at Aston Villa. He sent him out on numerous loans. A successful one at Stockport. But now, if he wants to step up and be a top championship player, he's got to step up as well. Part of his career being a footballer, he wants to be as good a player as he can be. If he wants to play at championships level, he's really got to step up. That's what we brought him in for. You can call it potential all you want. We've got lots of players. We've got a lot of young players in our squad, all with that word potential. But we don't need potential now while we bottom at league. We need results now. We need points on the board now. Potential don't get you points. Proven, quality, experienced, championship players or above get your points on board. And we haven't got that. We've got far too many younger players. We overloaded squad. And Chris is right. He needs to get rid of a lot. You know, he could get rid of 10 of those players out on loan or go back to the parent clubs. And they need to do that ASAP. But the problem we've got is now. 18 games before that happens. So Chris has got to find a squad of 20, a solid squad of 20 players who can come in, step up and turn this round ASAP. Because if we don't, all that hard work, what Chris himself's done and Hecky did from 2016, it could pull us back 10 years if we get relegated into League One. And we know what it's like. It took us 6 years to get out last time. Now, Chris has got his critics. He's Marmite. We all know he is. Probably 80% of people want him in. 80% of probably think he'll turn it round. I believe he'll turn it round. But it's going to take time. It's not going to be a quick fix. And I think we've got to have a bit of patience. And I still think even right now, I think that's the right call as well, giving him a contract till 2027. That's plenty as far as I'm concerned. And I still think they should be, even now, because Chris is not getting any younger either. He's not going to be around forever. They should be looking to bring somebody now in as an understudy to when he packs up, he can go upstairs to director of football if he wants to do that, or somebody else. And it's a safer transition rather than what we say is. Because I haven't got a clue why they employed him. Only the board will know that. Because I'd love to know what they saw in him, what they said to us, it was better than Chris Wilder. Because if stats don't lie, neither does his stats. So what happened? What happened there? Why did they employ him in the first place? But anyway, he's gone. We can't look back. We've got to keep looking forward. We've got to turn this round quickly. Chris knows that. Us fans know that. But I think we've got to have an element of patience as well. It might take 2 or 3, 4 more games before we start seeing signs of that. But I hope we can get something at Oxford on Saturday. I'm positive of that. I want to be positive of that. You've got to be, if you want to get results, the players have got to go out there on Saturday and get a result and fight for everything. You know, like Neil Warnock used to say, you've got to die for 3 points. You've got to go on that pitch and give it 110%. You know, run around, fight, scrap, do whatever you can to win that game of football, which we're not seeing at the moment. Too many mistakes, not enough creativity, no goals for 9.5 hours, shots on target. You know, we couldn't hit a barn door at a minute, could we? You know, so all we can do as fans is get behind them, support them, encourage them, and let's hope we can get it turned round. But I just thought these stats were very alarming, and I wanted to come on and let you know and see what you'll think. Put them in the comments below and let me know, because it helps me and I think it helps you and helps the channel grow. We can all stick together and try and find a solution between ourselves, because we don't know all the answers, do we? I don't know the answers, but it's very frustrating having to keep turning up on a Saturday or going away on a Saturday and watching it and see the players devoid of confidence, and which they are at the minute. So I'll leave it to that for now. Thanks for watching, as always. I really appreciate it. Please put your comments in and let me know. And please subscribe and hit the hype button as well. That also helps the channel growing nowadays with YouTube. And we look forward to see what happens in the week. I'm sure they'll be working hard in training this week, but they've got to put it on the pitch, aren't they, at the end of the day? So we'll look forward to see what Chris has got to say in the week. And if anything else pops up, I'll come on if I hear anything and let you know. So thanks for watching. All the blades, and I'll speak to you later in the week.